Hi, I'm Steve Krenz for Gibson's Learn and Master Guitar, and welcome to this month's video tip. Today we're going to look at one of the most fundamental chord progressions in jazz, the 2-5-1 progression. And jazz music is filled with this type of progression. And we're going to learn one of my favorite licks to play over a 2-5 progression. Well, so what is a 2-5-1? Well, the 2-5-1 refers to specific chords within a key. So for example, if I build a 7th chord, or chords built in 7th, so I have the triad 1, 3, 5, then I'm going to add the 7th on top of it. And I built that on top of every note of the C major scale. So if here's the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and I built chords in 7ths all the way up that I end up with a C major 7th, a D minor 7th, an E minor 7th, an F major 7th, a G 7th, an A minor 7th, a B half diminished 7th, and then a C major 7th way up at the top. So I'm taking the 2, the 5, and the 1 out of those progressions. The 2 ends up being a D minor 7th chord. The 5 in that key would be a G 7th, maybe even a G 9th. If I wanted to color it up even more, maybe a G 11th or G 13th. And then I would resolve to some sort of a 1 chord, maybe a C major 7th, C major 9th, maybe even a C 6th. So there's my 3 chords, a D minor, a G7, and a C, a 2, 5, 1. Very common progression you're going to see all over in jazz. And it works in every key. If I was in the key of D, I have D major, a 2-5-1 in the key of D would be E minor, A7, and D major 7th. All right, so let's look at those exercises that I have written down for you. We're going to get some practice on these 2-5-1s in the key of C. So the D minor 7th that we're going to use is basically this form up here. 5th string root, 5th string bar chord. I have a D, an A, a C, an F, and an A, and I'm going to be dancing around with some notes around there. We'll use that as the 2 of our 2-5-1. And then the 5 I'm going to use kind of a G 13th, which is a G, an F, a B, and an E. You'll notice I'm also playing fingerstyle, so I'm not really using my pick at all. That's how I can skip that 5th string there. I can just play the bass note with my thumb, and then the F, B, and E with my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd finger. And then I'm going to resolve down to the 1, which I'm going to make this a C 6th. Maybe a new chord form for you. I've got a pinky on the C, 2nd finger on the A, on the E there, 3rd finger on the A, and then 1st finger on the C. All right, so if I look at that first progression, which is the basic progression, it sounds something like this: D minor 7th, G 13th, C 6th, and the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4. Very common jazz rhythm. All right, look at the next one. Let's embellish this a little bit now. I'm going to add a simple melody on the top of this. Start out with my same basic chord, D minor 7th. This time I'm going to end on the F, and then the next note I'm going to play is the A, which is already in that chord. And I'm going to slip my pinky up here and play this C there, so I end up with the chord and then a couple of melody notes. This time let's play a couple of these G 13ths and then resolve it out just like we did before in the C 6th. So the second exercise, adding the simple melody exercise, would be ready and... See how we're already starting to sound pretty jazzy. Well, let's go to the next one. Let's take this up a notch. Well, now I'm going to throw a little triplet on there, a little hammer on, still with my basic D minor 7th chord, but I'm going to start going down here to this E, and then I'm going to hammer on from the E to the F, catch the A again, catch the C again, so I end up with sort of a triplet going to a quarter note, hammer on 2 notes, and this time let's see if we can jazz up the 5. I'm going to go, before I get to that G 13th, I'm going to slip in a G augmented, which is a G, an F, a B, and a D sharp, And then I'm going to slide my pinky out to catch the G13th, and then back to the C6. So if I add all of that together, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's take a look at one last one. This time, instead of resolving the melody low, instead of going low, I'm going to go high. So I have to figure out the chords that I can use for that. Well, I have my start out the same way as I started the other ones. And this time I'm going to play a G13th, but I'm going to use this form, which is a B, and then I bar this F and the A with my second finger. I'm way up here at the, what is that, the 9th fret, 9th position. Put my pinky way up here at the 12th fret, first string. And that actually functions as a G13th. Then I'm going to go down chromatically, hit that D sharp with my third finger, then just back to my bar there with a D as the highest melody note. And then I'll resolve to a C6-9, which is a rather interesting chord. First finger at the 7th fret, I'm barring all the way down. A, D, and then the second finger on the 8th position there, 8th fret, I'm using the G and the C right there. It's actually a chord built in fourths. A up to D is a fourth, D to G is a fourth, and G to C is a fourth. So if I add that little ending lick on it, all right, so if I put all of that together and resolve this lick high, it would go something like this. Well, so there you go. Now, as far as some ways to practice these 2-5-1 progressions, we'll learn these chord forms that we've talked about. I've basically shown you 5 or 6 different chord forms. Learn them, get them underneath your fingers, and then transpose them into different keys so you can get familiar with how they flow on the guitar. Experiment with different ways to resolve the melody. I've shown you a couple here, but you can resolve it all kinds of different ways on your own. Well, have fun working on these exercises, and before we close out, here's a few quick last-minute announcements. Hey, Learn and Master Guitar family. A few last-minute announcements for you for this month. We have a live lesson tonight, Tuesday, May 15th, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight. We're going to be talking world guitar and dad-gad tuning, kind of alternate tunings, and we're so excited to have with us World Guitarist of the Year, according to Guitar Player Magazine, Pierre Bensussen from France. He's going to be our special guest tonight. Don't miss it. What a brilliant player and a gentle man this is, so you guys are going to enjoy it immensely. We're going to be giving away an acoustic guitar, an amp, and some other accessories as well. Also wanted to point you to check out our sale for this month on our May resources sale. We're featuring IntelliTouch tuners as well as some other resources that you can get a good deal on. I always try and include some resources every month so that you can have some good things to learn from. Also, the next live lesson after this one is going to be Tuesday, May 29th, and it's just going to be an open talk. You know, if you're struggling with something, if you're some issues that you just wonder about, I try to have open talks about once a month. And so you can bring your questions. Just chat them in, and you be in the chat with us and ask me a question. I'll try and help you out any way that I can to get you where you want to go with your guitar playing. Also, we have Gibson's Skills House. We have links in this newsletter for that. We've got some new lessons over there. I did one on jazz turnarounds. If you're interested in jazz and these little chord progressions that they play in between phrases, those are called turnarounds, and I have a great new lesson on jazz turnarounds in Gibson's Skills House. Also talking about some new song lessons that some of the guys did by the songs Iron Man and All Day and All of the Night. Those song lessons are over in Gibson's Skills House as well. So check out those links in this newsletter. Remember to work on those 2-5-1 jazz progressions that we talked about in this tip. Try and understand the concepts that are involved and some of the new chord forms that might have been introduced. It's going to be a great month. Keep up the great work. You're the one that's going to make you into the guitar player you want to be. Have a great week and a great month, and I'll see you next time.